That one just aged me, but we're getting better.
Indiana Fever's hard-fought 78-74 victory over the Seattle Storm. This was a game that had it all. Clutch shots, intense defense, and a star performance from none other than Sophie Cunningham, who stepped up big time in the absence of Caitlin Clark. And let me tell you, Sophie had a moment after the game that summed it all up perfectly. Stick around because we're breaking down every angle of this game, from the key plays to Sophie's post-game confession and what it means for the Fever's playoff push. Before we jump into the nitty-gritty, let's set the stage. The Indiana Fever are on a roll, folks. 5 wins in a row, and this one against the Seattle Storm was no walk in the park. The final score, 78-74, a 4-point margin that felt like it could have gone either way until the final buzzer. The Fever are now 17-12, sliding into that number 5 spot in the WNBA standings, overtaking the Storm, who dropped to 16-13. This game wasn't just about the scoreline, it was about heart, hustle, and a team stepping up without their superstar rookie, Caitlin Clark. And leading the charge, Sophie Cunningham, who dropped a season-high 17 points and had some choice words after the game that'll make you love her even more.
Sophie the Blonde Bomber, Sophie the Trophy, lit it up again tonight. Man, she has been nothing short of spectacular as of late. 5 of 6 from the floor, 4 of 5 from 3, 3 for 4 from the free throw line, 17 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. Sophie, the Blonde Bomber, has been on fire. Sophie stepped it up in a big time way. That is what you need.
Now, if you've been following the Fever this season, you know they've been through some ups and downs. But this 5-game win streak, it's a statement. And with Caitlin Clark sidelined for her 7th straight game with that nagging groin injury, players like Sophie Cunningham are proving this team has depth, grit, and a whole lot of fight. So let's break it down. What happened in this game, why Sophie's performance was so clutch, and what her post-game reaction tells us about this Fever squad. Grab your snacks, because this is going to be a long one, but trust me, it's worth it. The Indiana Fever versus the Seattle Storm on Sunday was a battle from start to finish. The final score of 78-74 doesn't even begin to tell the story of how intense this matchup was. Both teams were scrapping for every possession, every rebound, every point. The Storm came in hungry, sitting at 16-12 before the game, while the Fever were riding a 4-game win streak and looking to make it 5. Without Caitlin Clark, the Fever knew they had to rely on their veterans and their bench to pull this one out, and boy did they deliver. The game tipped off with both teams feeling each other out. The Storm, led by their dynamic backcourt, came out aggressive, trying to exploit the Fever's missing star. Seattle's game plan was clear: attack the paint early and force Indiana's defense to collapse. They leaned on their bigs to establish position down low, and it worked initially. The Storm jumped out to a quick 6-2 lead with a couple of easy buckets in the paint. But the Fever weren't fazed. Sophie Cunningham, starting in place of Caitlin Clark, was locked in from the jump. She was moving without the ball, cutting hard, and setting screens to free up her teammates. Indiana responded with a 7-0 run, sparked by a Cunningham three-pointer from the wing. That shot was a tone setter. It showed Seattle that even without Clark, the Fever were ready to shoot from deep and play with pace. By the end of the first quarter, the score was knotted up at 20-20. Both teams were trading blows, and you could feel the intensity building. The Fever's defense was scrappy, forcing a couple of turnovers, while Seattle was relentless on the offensive glass. This was shaping up to be a dogfight. The second quarter is where Sophie Cunningham started to take over. She was absolutely feeling it from beyond the arc. Early in the quarter, she drained a catch-and-shoot 3 from the top of the key, giving the Fever a 25-22 lead. The Storm tried to double-team her on the perimeter, but Cunningham was too quick, using a pump fake to get her defender in the air before driving for a layup. That's the kind of veteran savvy you love to see. Sophie finished the game 5 of 6 from the field, including 4 of 4 from three-point range. That's ridiculous efficiency. In the second quarter alone, she hit 2 of those triples, both coming off screens where she used her off-ball movement to get open. The Storm just couldn't keep up with her energy. She was everywhere, diving for loose balls, grabbing rebounds, and even dishing out a couple of assists. On the other side, Seattle was leaning on their star power to stay in the game. Their guards were hitting tough mid-range shots, and they were getting to the free throw line at will. By halftime, the score was 40-38 in favor of the Fever, but it felt like anyone's game. The Fever's bench was stepping up, and their defense was holding strong, but Seattle's physicality was keeping them right there. Coming out of halftime, the Storm made some adjustments. They started trapping the Fever's ball handlers at half court, trying to force turnovers and slow down Indiana's pace. It worked for a stretch. Seattle went on a 10-2 run to start the third, taking a 48-42 lead. The Fever looked a little rattled, turning the ball over a couple of times and missing some open looks. But here's where the Fever's depth showed up. Players like insert other key Fever players, e.g. Kelsey Mitchell or Alia Boston, based on typical lineups, started to step up. Mitchell was hitting from mid-range, and Boston was a force on the boards, cleaning up misses and getting second-chance points. Sophie Cunningham stayed steady too, hitting another three late in the quarter to cut Seattle's lead to 56-54, heading into the fourth. The fourth quarter was pure chaos, in the best way possible. Both teams were leaving it all on the court. The lead changed hands 5 times in the first 5 minutes alone. Seattle was leaning on their experience, slowing the game down and milking the shot clock. Meanwhile, the Fever were pushing the pace, trying to get out in transition and find open shooters. With 3 minutes left, the score was tied at 70-70. Sophie Cunningham came up clutch again, hitting a corner three off a beautiful pass from insert teammate. That shot gave the Fever a 73-70 lead and sent the crowd into a frenzy. Seattle answered with a tough layup, but Indiana's defense locked in. They forced a missed shot on the next possession, and insert player sealed the deal with a couple of free throws down the stretch. When the final buzzer sounded, it was 78-74 Fever. The arena was electric, and you could see the relief and joy on the players' faces. This was a statement win, a gritty, hard-fought victory against a tough Storm team, Sophie Cunningham. The 28-year-old veteran guard has been a revelation for the Fever, especially with Caitlin Clark out. This game was her best performance of the season, hands down. Dropping 17 points on 5 of 6 shooting, including a perfect 4 of 4 from 3. That's the kind of stat line that makes you sit up and take notice. With Caitlin Clark sidelined, and let me pause here to say, we all hope she's back soon because the Fever are a different beast with her on the court. Sophie Cunningham has had to step into a bigger role. She's started all 7 games that Clark has missed, and she's been delivering. In fact, this game marked her 8th double-digit scoring performance in the last 10 games. That's consistency. What makes Sophie so special is her versatility. She's not just a shooter, though let's be real, those 4 threes were silky smooth. She's also a tenacious defender, a willing passer, and a hustle player who's not afraid to mix it up. In this game, she played a team-high 33 minutes, grabbed 5 rebounds, and dished out 2 assists. Those numbers don't scream superstar, but they show a player who's doing everything her team needs to win. Let's break down some of Sophie's key moments in this game. Her first big play came in the first quarter with that wing 3 we talked about earlier. It wasn't just the shot, it was the confidence. She caught the ball, squared up, and let it fly without hesitation. That's the kind of mentality you need when you're filling in for a player like Caitlin Clark. In the second quarter, she showed off her off-ball movement. One of her threes came off a curl around a screen where she lost her defender and caught a perfect pass from insert teammate. Her ability to read the defense and find open space is so underrated. And let's not forget her rebounding. She was battling in the paint against bigger players, grabbing 5 boards, including a couple of tough offensive rebounds that led to second-chance points. In the clutch, that corner 3 in the fourth quarter was the dagger. The Storm were hanging around, and that shot gave the Fever just enough breathing room to hold on. Sophie's ability to stay calm under pressure is what makes her such a valuable piece for this team. This game wasn't just about the numbers for Sophie, it was about stepping up when her team needed her most. The Fever are fighting for playoff positioning, and every win counts. Sophie's performance showed that this team isn't just relying on 1 or 2 players, they've got depth, and they've got heart. Her 17 points were huge, but it was her energy, her hustle, and her leadership that really stood out. For context, let's look at Sophie's season so far. She's been a reliable starter, averaging insert approximate stats based on typical performance, e.g. 10 points, 4 rebounds per game. But in these last 7 games without Clark, she's elevated her game. Her scoring is up, her three-point shooting is on point, and she's playing with a chip on her shoulder. This is a player who thrives under pressure. Now let's get to the moment everyone's talking about, Sophie Cunningham's post-game reaction. As soon as the final buzzer sounded, the cameras caught Sophie letting out a huge sigh of relief. She looked exhausted, but elated, and her words captured the vibe of the entire game.
Oh my
Here's what
gosh.
she said.
That one just aged me, but we're getting better.
But
Shoot,
we're getting
good
better.
win.
Shoot. Good. I love that. It's so real, so raw. You can tell how much this game meant to her and the team. That quote is going viral for a reason. It's the perfect mix of humor, honesty, and pride. Let's unpack Sophie's reaction. First, that one just aged me. Can we just appreciate how relatable that is? This game was a grind. Both teams were going at it for 40 minutes, and you could see the toll it took on the players. Sophie played 33 minutes, the most on the team, and she was giving it everything. Diving for loose balls, fighting for rebounds, running around screens to get open. It's exhausting just watching her. Then she says, "But we're getting better." That's the key right there. The Fever aren't just winning games, they're improving. This team is young, with players like Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston still finding their footing in the league. But games like this show that they're learning how to win, even when the odds are stacked against them. Sophie's confidence in the team's growth is a big deal. And finally, shoot, good win. That's just classic Sophie. She's got that fiery personality, and you can hear the joy in her voice. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. The Fever took down a tough Storm team on their home court without their best player, and they did it as a unit. Sophie's reaction is so much more than just a funny quote. It's a window into the heart of this Fever team. They're battling through adversity. Losing Caitlin Clark for 7 games is no small thing, and they're coming out stronger. Sophie's honesty about how tough the game was makes her so relatable to fans. She's not sugarcoating it. She's saying, yeah, that was hard, but we did it, and we're proud. That's the kind of leadership that can carry a team deep into the playoffs. For fans watching at home, this moment is a reminder of why we love the WNBA. It's not just about the highlights or the stats, it's about the passion, the grind, and the human side of the game. Sophie's confession is the kind of thing you can't script. It's authentic, and it's why players like her connect so deeply with fans. A second and talk about what this win means for the Indiana Fever. With this victory, they improve to 17-12 and slide into the number 5 spot in the WNBA standings, overtaking the Seattle Storm. That's huge. In a league as competitive as the WNBA, every spot in the standings matters, especially as we head toward the playoffs. The Fever have been one of the surprise teams this season. Coming into 2025, there were a lot of questions about how they'd build on last year's progress. With Caitlin Clark emerging as one of the league's brightest young stars, the expectations were high. But injuries happen, and Clark's absence has tested this team's resilience. The fact that they're 17-12 and on a 5-game win streak without her, that's a testament to their depth and coaching. Players like Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston have been carrying the load. The Fever's style of play, fast-paced, 3-point heavy and scrappy on defense, has made them a tough matchup for anyone. This win over the Storm proves they can hang with the best, even when they're not at full strength. Looking ahead, the Fever are in the middle of a 4-game road trip, and their next stop is a matchup against the Los Angeles Sparks on Tuesday. That game at insert arena name, e.g. Crypto.com Arena, is going to be another test. The Sparks are a scrappy team, and playing on the road is never easy. But if the Fever can keep this momentum going, they could solidify their spot in the top half of the standings. The key for Indiana will be maintaining their defensive intensity and getting contributions from their role players. Sophie Cunningham's emergence as a reliable scorer and leader is a huge boost, but they'll need everyone firing on all cylinders to keep this streak alive. And of course, all eyes are on Caitlin Clark's recovery. There's still no timetable for her return, but when she's back, this team could be unstoppable. With the playoffs looming, every game is a chance to build momentum and fine-tune the game plan. The Fever are in a great spot at number 5, but the standings are tight. Teams like the Storm, the insert other close teams, e.g. Chicago Sky or Phoenix Mercury, and others are right behind them. This win over Seattle was a tiebreaker in their favor, which could be huge come playoff time. For Sophie Cunningham and the Fever, the goal is clear: keep winning, keep improving, and make a deep run in the playoffs. This team has the talent, the heart, and the coaching to do something special. Games like this one against the Storm are proof that they're ready for the challenge. Before we wrap up, let's talk about what the fans are saying. This game lit up social media, especially Sophie Cunningham's post-game quote. Fans on X were eating it up, with one user posting, "Sophie Cunningham is the heart and soul of this Fever team right now." That quote had me dying. Another fan wrote, "The Fever are proving they're more than just Caitlin Clark. Sophie's a beast." The WNBA community is buzzing about this win, and it's not hard to see why. The Fever are playing with a chip on their shoulder, and fans are loving the energy. If you're watching this, drop a comment below and let me know what you thought of Sophie's performance or the game overall. Are the Fever legit playoff contenders? Let's get that conversation going. Alright y'all, that's our deep dive into the Indiana Fever's thrilling 78-74 win over the Seattle Storm. Sophie Cunningham stole the show with her 17-point masterpiece and that iconic post-game confession. This team is on fire, and with or without Caitlin Clark, they're proving they're a force to be reckoned with in the WNBA.